Welcome everyone to the 2015 Quicken Loans Race for Heroes 500 at Phoenix, or in other words, Jeff Gordon International Raceway, because for the race they decided to change the track's name to Jeff Gordon Raceway in honor of Jeff Gordon's final race at Phoenix. Anyway, Quicken Loans Race for Heroes 500 at Phoenix, or Jeff Gordon, whatever you want to call it. Race review. So I recap what went on before the race, during the race, and after the race, and just overall thoughts on the race. I don't know if I said this last year for this race when I did the race review, but I feel like just like last season, my emotions are just all over the place. And as of me recording this, it is just past 10 p.m. Arizona time, 11/15, 2015. And I'm sure that if you're watching this, it's a day or days after this. I just think overall there's definitely quite a bit to talk about, but I think that some of this is just going to be sort of you could call a rant, but I think some of it is just going to be sort of my message to NASCAR. I think that's what some of this is just going to include, because. And I think you'll understand why. But first of all, let's just get into what happened in the pre-race. No penalties for the 11, 18, and 19 after the spoilers were confiscated before the race to Texas. DL Jr., Jeb Burton, Joey Gase, and Ryan Preece were hit with warnings. And BK Racing, it was actually looking for alliance. It's looking for an alliance with Jogas Racing. It currently fields Jeb Burton, JJ Gilly, Matt Sabato, and if you want the car numbers, 23, 26, and 83. This is pretty interesting. Who knows if they do get an alliance, it could help the team. And that's kind of all I know. Geico has announced an extension with Germain Racing Casey Mears through 2018. And if you remember earlier this season, and in case you didn't know, I think it was back in July. They had signed an extension for Casey Mears. Casey Mears will be back in the car for next season, but so I guess now this is like a second extension, and it's going to last even longer. And with this deal now lasting for multiple years, I wonder if this is going to maybe open up time for maybe who knows a different alliance, or maybe the team opening up to do a second car. It could be interesting, and honestly, I think Casey Mears is slowly becoming a better race car driver. It was definitely it was sort of a, I guess you could call it a rough start when he got with the team in late 2010. But since then he has improved just a little bit, and has turned himself into a top 20, top 15 driver at most of the races we've gone to. Anyway, but now on to the weekend. Four-time Phoenix winner Jimmy Johnson, he has not won under the new configuration though, was the fastest in opening practice. Behind him, Larson, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Murray, Harvick, Casey Kane, Mark Truex Jr., Dale Hunter Jr., and Kyle Busch. Jimmy Johnson wins the pole with a new track record. In fact, in all three series, they set a new track record for this track. So I don't know if it is the cars and trucks, or if it's the racetrack, but pretty amazing if you ask me. Kurt Busch then swept both practice sessions, and now it's on for Sunday. And first of all, I just gotta say that for those who didn't know, a couple months ago I bought tickets for this race. And so because of that, I was not actually. I didn't think that I was going to be sitting down watching the race on my TV taking notes. Unfortunately, due to just all of the rain, I couldn't stay along, and I think it's honestly with the way this race turned out to be, with the race being rain shortened. I'm glad I did, because I definitely would have been a tiring, exhausting drive to just get back to the car. Especially since there's not a lot of lights around the racetrack. Because really, in case you don't know, Phoenix International Raceway is sort of out in the middle of nowhere. The roads are pretty narrow. So anyway, I am glad I left today. And obviously, I wish I could had attended the race. Hopefully soon I will make a video of what I experienced earlier in the day, just for those who want to see it. But anyway, I was actually missing some things here. Richard Petty confirms that Sam Horrocks Jr. will not be back in the 9 car in 2016, which for the past couple months this has been a rumor, but now it is officially true. No replacement has been confirmed yet, but I believe a fan favorite is Regan Smith, who is not returning to Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series after this season. Also earlier today there was actually this interesting news of some possible changes to the racetrack, and one of those is the start finish line being moved from the front stretch, which has been there since day one of this racetrack, all the way to the back stretch, and the back stretch has that famous dog leg. This could be an interesting change, and it could work or couldn't. But to me, I still feel like that this change is at least a couple years away from possible reality. And I think as a final note, I have, and eventually I'm just going to start sort of delivering my message to NASCAR. Is obviously, I mentioned the rain, but the thing is, it was heavy on and off showers. It delayed this race to over 6 hours. And the thing is, it eventually became the first Sprint Cup night race in Phoenix since April of 2010. And actually, that was the last time the Spring Phoenix race was scheduled under the lights. Since then, both races have been day races. And also, for those who want to know, the race was moved from the basic channel NBC to the cable channel, which cost money, NBC Sports Network. And so definitely do not be surprised if the ratings are lower, in case you want to check. But anyway, so pretty much now I just sort of like. Okay, fine. I'm going to be sort of talking about the race just sort of a different way, and I think that's what the majority of the rest of this video is going to be about. So where to really start? It's kind of hard to know, because the thing is, there are a couple things I think need to be addressed, and I guess we can start at the start of the race. Green flag is in the air. And all of a sudden, a couple laps later, they are reviewing the start, and then all of a sudden, a couple laps after that, Kurt Busch is penalized for beating Jimmy Johnson to the start-finish line. And basically, what happened was that Johnson, the pole center, restarted on the inside. Kurt Busch started on the inside. Kurt Busch started on the outside. And I think as Kurt Busch beat Jimmy Johnson to the line, either because Johnson did not get going, or Kurt Busch just had a better start. And apparently, under NASCAR rules, and Jeff Gordon actually asked this. He actually asked this in the drivers' meeting, and it was actually shown on TV. That on the start, you cannot beat the leader to the line. And the thing is, because it is in the rule book, and because NASCAR reacted to this, it penalized Kurt Busch, so they did enforce the rule. The thing is, there are at least a couple things that I think irritate me with this. First of all, I actually discovered this when I went to Ricky Craven's Twitter account, and I'm not gonna explain that, and I'm not going to explain the whole story. But the thing is, I was exploring that account. In fact, what I saw was actually sort of a, I guess you could say, a reply to another tweet that was sent out before that, of actually back in the spring race at Phoenix. Logano restarted second. Harvick restarted. Logano started second. Harvick started first, but actually Logano beat Harvick to the line, and yet Logano was not penalized, but yet Kurt Busch was. So unless there was a mid-season rule change, which I did not hear one, once again showing NASCAR's inconsistency, and I guess you could say favoritism. Sorry, just kind of get these words out tonight. But to me, also, why is there such a rule? And I think is, when I think about it, if they didn't penalize Logano, I'm certain that in the many years NASCAR has existed, this probably has happened every now and then. And the thing is, here's the problem though. What if Johnson spun the tires and maybe caused a big wreck? Are they still going to penalize Kurt Busch all because Johnson spun the tires? And the same thing could really be said about the restarts. And I kind of feel like that, in my opinion. I kind of feel like that, maybe this rule shouldn't just exist, and they should just and NASCAR should just sort of be maybe less strict on this and just sort of let the race play out a little bit more naturally. I think I would definitely be down with that, in my opinion. Yeah, and to me, because of what happened later on in the race, penalizing Kurt Busch really just Kurt Busch was in a must-win situation, and Kurt Busch being penalized pretty much just took him out of that. And I did feel pretty bad for Kurt Busch, because Kurt Busch actually had a fast car, and that sort of leads me into what I want to say next. Harvick was just simply the class of the field, and after the competition caution, and after Johnson was penalized for speeding, Harvick became the leader, and Harvick would lead for that entire green flag run, with the exception of the green flag pit stops, or at least for most of that green flag run, and Harvick, he was just simply once again unbeatable, and looked like that he was going to win 5 in a row. And if Harvick did win 5 in a row, he actually tied Darrell Waltrip, who won 5 in a row at Bristol back in the day. And if that did happen tonight, that actually would have been pretty incredible, if you ask me. And it looked like Harvick was going to do that. But other than Harvick, no one really showed that kind of speed. I mean, yeah, like maybe things would have been different had Johnson not been penalized and had Kurt Busch not been penalized. But to me, Harvick was just simply the class of the field. And I think overall, I guess this is gonna I guess this leads into sort of another message. If I could tell NASCAR, if NASCAR had the ability to listen to me, and if I had the ability to sort of say something to NASCAR. It's sort of like this. This race, I mean, to me, obviously, I know these teams had prepared for a day race, and the thing is, Phoenix, I know, is generally not the most exciting. In Phoenix, even though it is definitely a unique racetrack, it still has not really produced some of the most exciting races of the season. But the thing is, it's just sort of like this. And really, I've been meaning to say this for the past couple weeks, maybe ever since Charlotte. But the thing is, most of this race, when they were racing, it was just sort of. I just think that, in my opinion, it was just sort of uninteresting. Not a lot happened. There weren't really any serious chase implications. Someone crashed out, who was above the cutoff line. None of that happened. And who knows? Had the race not been rain shortened, it could have happened. Who knows? But the thing is, overall, I think one of NASCAR's goals with the chase, and especially the new format that was made last year, was to make the season, especially the end of the season, the chase, more exciting. But the thing is, really, last season, I think the on-track product was pretty exciting. But the thing is, this season, I don't really know if it's even really come close to that. And to me, it basically tells me this: a gimmick, which is basically what the chase isn't just all of a sudden going to turn the most boring season into oh my goodness, this is the most exciting season there ever is. No, it's not going to do that. And I think it's putting several drivers in the position is just not I just don't think that it's going to make the racing that exciting. If you took away a ton of downforce and maybe brought back up the horsepower they took away for this season, then all of a sudden we could be talking about whether NASCAR has a chance or not. The season's being super, super exciting. Because the thing is really, some of the most boring races of the season have actually been in the chase. In my opinion, Dover, Charlotte, especially Texas, up until the final restart, and you can now add Phoenix for the most part onto this list. So the thing is, gimmicks don't make on-track product that exciting. Rules packages and better rules packages, to be more specific, do. And to me honestly, I think when I think back to NASCAR's leadership over the past several years, and maybe even over the past decade, some of their ways to solve problems that have sort of not, like, they're not actually like the real answer, you know. And I'll just put it at that. Anyway, I'm just now going to sort of. I'm just going to skip ahead. I'm sorry that I'm doing this. But the thing is, I sort of just want to do this. So the thing is, the second caution comes out. A lap 196 in the middle of green flag pit stops. Jeff Gordon is leading. And the caution came out when Joey Gase and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. not on the lead lap got together into turns 3 and 4. Joey Gase backed it into the wall. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. went hard into the outside wall, and both were out, and both DNF'd. And the thing is, for the drivers that I had not hit pit, they had to come down to pit road, and for the drivers, and that basically it made Dale Earnhardt Jr. the race leader, all because at the moment the caution came out, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Was the first driver to get to the line and was still on the lead lap, if that makes any sense. And so Dale Earnhardt Jr. was able to lead once drivers like Gordon and Johnson came down pit road. Behind him was Harvick. And basically, like, I don't really understand what was exactly going on. I thought that for the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Joey Gase incident, it would have been a lot quicker to clean that up, or I don't know what was going on. But the thing is, I kind of felt like this last caution lasted way too long, and eventually it got so long that eventually rain started pouring down at around lap 213. 7 laps later, the red flag comes out, and the cars pull in. And so the thing is, that was about, I want to say maybe like maybe like the 5th time today at Phoenix that it rained. And the thing is, I'm sure that wherever at the racetrack they were making, like wherever the place where they make the calls happens, I'm sure there was definitely the debate on whether the race should be rain shortened or whether they should wait out and wait just a couple more hours to complete in the rest of the race, because the thing is, once the shower ended, there weren't any more showers for the rest of the night and into the following morning. And I definitely checked the radar over and over and over again, refreshed it many times. But then, I want to say maybe about 10 minutes after the red flag, race officials, Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets his third win of 2015 and third at Phoenix. And basically, the final 4, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Mark Truex Jr. will compete for a championship. And this is actually the second rain-shortened race ever at Phoenix, and the first was the fall of 1998. Rusty Wallace won that race. And just overall, I understand why they rain-shortened the race, because the thing is, if you were checking the radar, and if you know, and if you are familiar with weather radars, like if you see like light green, that sort of is like equivalent to like a light shower, but if you see like red, or or even like yellow or orange, that can mean thunder and lightning, heavy rain, threatening, etc. And the thing is, there was definitely some yellow, orange. There was definitely some yellow and orange around the racetrack on the radar. And to me, I think that for the fans' safety, that I think that's probably why they call the rain shortened. But that probably wasn't the only reason, because Arizona, pretty close to the West Coast, late night, especially for the people who are watching on the East Coast, which, to be honest, at this point, I'm kind of curious. I kind of wonder how many people did watch. I just think NASCAR also took that into consideration. And the thing is, if I was there, I don't really know what decision I would have made. I think that what I would have tried. I think that what I mean, like I kind of feel like they, even though like all that was all that was going on, I just kind of feel like overall, like NASCAR, I think, like I would not had called the race as early as NASCAR did, in my opinion. I kind of feel like NASCAR called it at least like 10 to 20 minutes too early. Because the thing is, I believe about 10 minutes. I think about 10 to 20 minutes after they called the race, the rain definitely what had stopped. And then once the rain stopped, which the cell was not that big, and actually, I just want to like see, is it actually still raining? No, um, no, it's now about 10:40 in Arizona time, and it's definitely not raining anymore. There is actually another cell it's actually on the way. And I guess NASCAR might have also have been taking into consideration that too. But the thing is, overall, I just sort of feel like overall, like I just think if they made the call a little too early, I probably would have waited like 10, 20 minutes and then look at the radar and everything else to see if we can do anything. But just overall, just a pretty unfortunate and just not a good way to end your semifinal and elimination race. And to me, like, I would like to ask for at least one change, maybe two or more. One of those changes is this. So I don't know how long this rule has existed. So I'll put it like this: for years, or just simply for at least a long time. The rule is, once the race is past the halfway point, if something like rain comes by to ruin the track's day, and the race, and it's just simply and it's just simply too much, then the race will be officially called. It doesn't matter whether it's just past halfway or whether there's like 15 laps left in the race. It will be called, or in other words, rain shorten. I kind of feel like, though, like this rule I think should be changed, in my opinion, because the thing is, whether it's the Daytona 500, or whether it is the shortest race of the season, which Phoenix races are actually some of the shortest races of the season, or whether it is an elimination race in the chase. Halfway, when you get to the halfway mark, there's still a lot of racing left to go. And the thing is, it almost feels like that. It almost just feels like too much racing to just sort of be like wasted or canceled. So to me, instead of 50%, or in other words halfway, how about once we pass the 75% mark, and if rain does come, and if we cannot get the race restarted, then call it off, but not 50%. That will give us plenty of racing. And the thing is, if my rule was used in today's race, this race would not have a rain shorten, because 75% of 312, the amount of laps in this race is 234, and the race was called off at 220 or 219. Yeah. So to me, I feel like that would work. And the thing is, I think that it would definitely give fans more of the money's worth, because the thing is, for example, I spent $125, and unfortunately I was not able to see the race. But the thing is, even if I did stay at the racetrack, I would not have seen that much of the race anyway. And to me, honestly, I feel like that with the amount of times rain has gotten in the way of race weekends, especially this season and last season, I kind of feel like that the fans deserve a lot better. Especially since at tracks like PIR you don't get refunds. You don't get refunds. But that's just my opinion. And I guess you could say like refunds could actually lead. And I guess you could say refunds sort of like could be like my second change. You know, just simply because like I just think overall like whether it's NASCAR or whether it's the NFL, I just think overall like you pay so much money and maybe too much money to a sporting event. And how a sporting event ends like this and come out like this, I just simply think that like you should get at least some of your money back. That's just my opinion. So that's pretty much that's pretty much this race. Definitely not how I wish this race ended up, and certainly definitely not the way NASCAR wanted to. And honestly, I kind of feel like that NASCAR sort of I think owes us an explanation on why they made that decision, because the thing is, obviously, like I think that if you just erase the chase, you wouldn't have this issue. But to be honest, whether or not you love the chase or whether or not you love or hate the chase, I just don't think these races should end under caution, and they definitely should not be rain shortened, especially if the race is an elimination race, because the thing is, rain basically decided our final four. And that, in my opinion, it just doesn't feel right. But anyway, if we look at the final four, we definitely do have some storylines. And I guess I could start off with Kevin Harvick, who actually, if there was not a chase, he would be the points leader. So Harvick has definitely been incredibly consistent, but I think many people are not going to be very, very fond of Harvick. If Harvick wins this championship because of what happened at Talladega. We have Kyle Busch, who missed 11 races due to an injury in the Xfinity Daytona race back in February. Since then though, I think that had the injury not happened, based on 35 races, this could have been Kyle Busch's best season ever. And really, and even though Kyle Busch did miss a lot of races, I still think that this is definitely up there when it comes to Kyle Busch's best seasons he's ever had in his Sprint Cup career. But to me, because Kyle Busch missed 11 races, if he wins the championship, I just don't know how it's really gonna go, and it could be bad, and it could be both good and bad for NASCAR. And we have Martin Truex Jr. and the 78 team, and I think that this team is definitely the underdog. Only has one career win. Truex only has one win this season, and it came out of Pocono back in June. And Truex Jr. Even though he does only have one win, they have been pretty consistent. And I think they probably would have had like more top fives and top tens had they not had issues in the during the summer. And some of those issues were out of their control. And last but not least, we have Jeff Gordon, the four-time champion, competing for a championship, and he will compete for a championship in his final career season. And if he does, and if he could win the championship, it would just be a storybook ending, in my opinion. And even though this is definitely not anywhere near his best season, I think that he is definitely, in my opinion, the popular favorite. I think a lot of people would like to see it happen. And thing is, who am I rooting for? Well, I just think, I'm rooting for Jeff Gordon, just for the sake of him being his final full season. I think Jeff Gordon did win the championship. I think that I think even though like I said, the season has definitely not been anywhere near his best season. I just think overall it'd be a great way to cap off what's been I think to many fans a frustrating and disappointing season. Um, and definitely, it would just give many of us something to be happy about and entering the off season. And looking forward to 2016. And the finale is at Homestead. We only go there one time a year, and honestly, throughout most of the season, I sometimes actually forget that Homestead is on the schedule because we only go there once a year, even though it is the finale. And Homestead, it's possibly one of, if not the best mountain racetrack we have. Just simply because of its design. I think the design, the bumps, the worn out racetrack, the variable banking, I think it all lends itself to what can sometimes be pretty good racing. And worn out tracks have actually been pretty good under the 2015 rules package, and I'm definitely glad that next week is going to be the final race under this dreaded package. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And also, Matt Kenseth is coming back, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But overall, I think it's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully, sometime soon, I can upload the video sharing my experience to PIR, even though I was never able to watch the race in the grandstands, and who knows. And who knows? I could be back at the racetrack next March. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and bye.